Hello and welcome to the channel today. I am looking at my purchases from the Sandown Toy Festival on February the 22nd, I believe it was. Yeah, it was. I didn't get many photos on it. I didn't think I was going to do a video about it, but I saw some cool stuff and I had a great time. Yeah, and I hadn't really planned to buy anything in particular. I wasn't hunting for a grail, so we got there at 10:30 and I just picked up a few bits and bobs. And I was also inspired after the event as well to kind of find about some of the things that I actually liked, because I love vintage toys, just any toy in general. I mean, it's always fascinating to me. I saw some Fisher-Price Adventure People. That got me all excited because I remember getting that for Christmas one year. The same year I got the Lego Space Set, which I saw at the toy fair, and I thought, oh, shall I get that? But the reality of it is you've only got limited space. I can't keep everything. I can't have everything that I'd like. And so I just buy them and I keep them for a while, and then I sell them on eBay later when I've got my joy out of it. And that's probably what's going to happen with some of the things you'll see today. Because again, like nothing there that I got was a Holy Grail piece that I really, really wanted. They were just sort of itches that I scratched. And they were affordable itches, and that was one of the things I liked about the toy fair. There was a nice range of prices. There was the top end stuff, which was really expensive. There were auctions running where things were going for thousands and thousands of pounds. And then there was things for, like, you could pick up for £6 and you could have like wallow in the nostalgia just by looking at them. So it was a great day out. It's a great day out, and Isha's a nice town as well. So if you're traveling far, there's some beautiful stuff to see around. So without further ado, I'll go into my last purchase of the day, which was my favorite, which was this. A sealed robotics. You say, oh, it's not sealed, is it? It isn't anymore. See, I don't buy toys just to look at the boxes predominantly. I like to get stuck in and have a look around, especially with a building toy. It would be a shame if it never came out of its box. And robotics is an interesting IP, because I didn't know this, but they have a cartoon. It was based on, like, they tried to do what they did for Transformers for the robotics. And I was actually watching, I think it's Toy Overdose's channel the other day, and I saw a robotic set that looked completely different to the European one. And then I did a bit of research on why that is, and that's when I went down the rabbit hole of finding this awful looking cartoon. I'm going to have to give it a go. There's episodes on YouTube of it, but it just seems ridiculous to me, because having played with the set, I don't see how this would fit with what the IP's plot summary suggests about intelligent robots that are fighting for dominance over a planet. And then you've got the figures. I always thought they were cool figures, but I didn't realize they were actually characters in this cartoon. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. And I think what's happened is the MB Games, they kind of realized that cartoon series was not working. It wasn't bringing in the audience. And so they decided, let's go down a more generic sci-fi route and make it more an educational toy. So this is what we got in the UK. And this is I think this was the top set, the Argus set. I had the Bront, which was the R2000. And basically what the 4000 and the 2000, the difference is you get 4 motors with the 4000 and 2 motors with the 2000s. And then you get all the littler sets. Again, robotics doesn't have a great deal of value either, so it's not in the resale value. And I watched a video about robotics by Secret Galaxy. Love that channel. You should go and watch that channel immediately. It's so much fun if you're a nostalgia freak and you're into this 80s, 90s cartoon stuff like I was. But yeah, it was a really interesting thing. And the best part is the story doesn't end the way you think it does about robotics. This isn't some normal defunct toy that just went out of existence. So it's definitely worth having a watch of that video. I'd highly recommend it. Let's flip it over. And here's a little clue as to how it kind of played out in the UK. So they decided that the cartoon story wasn't working with the robotics and the tyrannics, and that's the story of it, is like there's an evil version and a good version. So they kind of just did a mix and match set. So it was almost like a precursor to the can't remember what the Lego version was, the scientific Lego with the robots and things. It's kind of like a precursor to that more than a sci-fi toy. But the thing is, because it had that sci-fi element, it was like that extra level of interest for young me. And so, yeah, it had the imagination of Lego, and it had the IP value. It didn't have the IP value of Transformers. But for me, it was like a weird hybrid in the middle before I had the access to the technical Lego sets. Because I think I was playing with technical Lego when I was about 6 or 7. And this would have come out after that. So, you know, technical Lego was more about cars and springs and things like that. In the UK is a little bit different. Now, I have actually done an unboxing video of this, but I haven't even started putting that together yet. So I will show you how the unveiling went. But I'll quickly show you what's inside. And what you get inside a robotics set. So there you go, you see. So the sealed set came with all of the, obviously somebody packed it with a dog-eared cover, but essentially there's no mention really of Tyranics or any of the story IP elements, and it's just purely components and building and things of that nature. And I think this Argus set looks really cool actually, and I might actually have a go at building something with it. And then it's kind of got that Lego-y instruction manual feel about it. And it's just nice. It's a nice piece of memorabilia to have. But some moisture did get through the barriers on the outside. Still got all the stickers, so that's cool. I'm not doing that. I hated doing that as a kid. I used to just skip it in the end. And obviously everything's still on its plastic frames. Figures are still bagged up, and yeah, it's cool. And the control system and everything works. And then it's funny because when I remember holding these things in my hand, like the Ront set, they seem much bigger, but now they're just these small little things in my hands. So it's just funny. It's just a nice little piece of memorabilia, and yeah, everything's still bagged up. It's kind of for me, it's just kind of a nice set. It's a big set and it takes up a lot of space, but if I can tuck it somewhere, then it's good. So I'll hang on to that for a while. I suspect it's not got any real value except for me on a nostalgia beat. But yes, check out the Secret Galaxy YouTube video about that. That's really fascinating. My next little purchase was this one. I kind of go in reverse order. I think this is yeah. This was one of the last ones of the day. I think I was going back round. No, I saw this right near the end of the day, and it was on this awful carry case, and the guy started telling me all about it, telling me what a great carry case it is. It's so amazing. And I was kind of like, yeah, okay, if you say so. It had all these rusty cars in it, and I was just kind of like, that's not why I collect these toys. I don't care for that sort of thing. But when I saw this on the top of it, I asked him, is that part of the set? And he then just waffled and like said £40, £50 for these horrible cars that I didn't really care about. And at the end, I just said, can I just have the book? And he said, yeah, sure, you can have that, a couple of quid. So I got this for £2. And I remember this because I actually used to collect these cars back in the day. And I remember there was a fish market in Leicester that I absolutely hated going to. But they had a Matchbox car shop stall, and he had them all laid out. And then every weekend when I had a few pounds, I'd go and buy one of those cars, and I loved it. The smell of fish and Matchbox go together for me. And yeah, I don't know what happened. I think the guy's name was Andy, and ended up like, he's a friend of my auntie's, and he used to look after me on his store, and he used to hate having to do that because I was a pain in the arse. Sorry, Andy, if you're still alive. But yeah, that was good old days. So I used to get the Matchbox cars, and this guy had the same taste as me. So whoever owned this book was getting the same cars, although I would have got the Dodge Challenger. I remember having the Chevrolet at some point and the Jeep. Always steered away from the aeroplanes. The Porsche. Let's get a bit closer. So you got the the Porsche. And then he's ticked off the ones he's got. The Quattro. Fire at the Quattro. The Chevy stock car. He had that. Now, I had this blue racing Porsche, I believe. The Mazda. Yeah, he got the Mazda. I had the Mazda. And the Datsun. I would have got the Datsun. See, and this is the thing. These cars were cool. And I just looked at this book and I was like, wow, this is all the nostalgia without buying the actual cars themselves. Which were going for like, some of these cars at the show were going for like 30 quid. And I was like, there's no way in the world I'm paying 30 quid for something that, you know, I don't have. They were out their boxes as well. So I was like, that was part of the appeal for me of having them, was having these little boxes. And I kept them for as long as a kid can keep stuff like that. But they ended up getting flattened in the end because I was like 10. So, yeah. Oh, Ford Sierra. That's funny. Used to love the Sierra. That was like the closest you could get to a Porsche on our estate. And it was just brought back memories, just flicking through this book. It just was it's one of my favourite buys of the day. And I absolutely adore model cars like this in Matchbox because they took real care. And they had what I loved about them is you flip them over and they'd have all the information about the car underneath, embossed on the bottom. And whenever I flip over a car now, it's just some crappy plastic casing with no effort put in. And I just think, yeah, we had so much going for us back then. I had this van, had the Corvette. Yeah, we had some absolutely wonderful toys back in the day. And I do feel, when I look around nowadays, that some of that quality has definitely gone out of the market. Some of the attention to detail. But it does seem to be coming back again. Again, I mentioned in the last video that masks are coming back. And I watched the New York Toy Fair episode on YouTube about that. I don't know. I think that was Pixel Dan's channel. And he was interviewing the guy from, I can't remember what it's called. Luxury Item. I don't know what the company's called that's doing masks. But they've taken some real care and attention with the brand. And I think that's something that the nostalgic toy collector really enjoyed about those toys. These little elements that these companies don't think are important nowadays are important. Excellent packaging, great attention to detail. And one of the things about Matchbox cars that is so great from this era is they were all metal, die-cast metal. So they were really solid. I believe these sets in the 1984 had, some of them had plastic bases, but they were not just flimsy plastic. They were solid. And I always remember, because we had you had Corgi cars, you had Matchbox cars, and then later on you had Hot Wheels cars. And I'd always remember seeing, in like, you know, when you get a load of cars in a box, and then there'd be just loads and loads of cars in a box, and you go around your friend's house, you go to play, and then like one car would just go off to the left or right. Whenever you saw what cars that were doing that, it was always a Corgi or a Hot Wheels. It was never a Matchbox. Matchbox cars were so well made. They never broke. And you had to really, really like sit on them to break them. And even then, so they were just a really great, well-made car, a well-made toy for kids. And we used to play in the mud with them, and all of us would bring our Matchbox cars out and race them down the hill. And the reason we always brought the Matchbox cars out, because they're the only ones that survived. The way we played with them. So yeah, this was a really cool book. It brought back a lot of memories. And these Super Kings, there's some great stuff at the back, actually, that I was like, ah. And again, that is the reason that most people collect. So yeah, great little find. I really, really, really love this book. I thought, I've got the Skybuster seat. That I have an SR-71 Blackbird, but the box is all mashed up. And again, Matchbox for me, the logo, the branding, everything about it was super cool. The street racing. There was a street racing set that I was going to buy to try and get, a good deal on, because he had a Doom roller as well from Secret Wars, and I wanted that. But then in the end, he'd sold it to another seller at the store at the show, and I just missed out on it. So, and this was interesting. I did not know that Matchbox did this, because again, we did the Knight Rider video yesterday. I've never seen this. I've never seen it anywhere, and the Dukes has it. So these were two shows that I loved as a kid, and I just did not know that Matchbox did Knight Rider and the Dukes. Now, I'm not even, as I'm thinking about it, I feel like I saw the 18 ones and didn't like it because of the wheels. And obviously the wheels don't do much for me. But I didn't know that Matchbox did that. And I remember having a kit, and I believe it was a Corgi. So, yeah, interesting. But yep, the burners, the burning key cars. Yes, I remember those too. See, when it got gimmicky, I was out. I didn't like all that stuff. But now it would be cool to see it. But yeah, the graphic design on it as well, it was another level back in those days. They did a great job. So yeah, that's fantastic memory, and that was a great little find. So here's another one. I was just leaving. I said to my brother came with me, and he's not like into toys. He is now. He's grabbed all of his old turtle stuff out, and he's got some amazing stuff. I didn't realise he had such great stuff. But anyway, he came along with me, and he bought a couple of Thundercat figures, which were really cool, Lion-O and Tigra. And they were on this store, and they had loads of cool stuff on this store. And I said, can you get a deal by bundling a load of stuff up? Like, you take in like 5 or 6 things, take some of my stuff as well, and I'll have... And then I added onto it to try and get a great deal, but they only offered a couple of quid off. But in fairness, their prices were quite good. So I did go back and get these bits. And no, that's another thing about the Toy Fair, which is good. People are open to negotiating, so you don't have to pay the rate if you have a case as to why they're charging too much. So there was some cool stuff there that you could negotiate on. But I didn't even negotiate when I saw this. There was 2 of these. And I love Dr. Evil. When I was, I used to work in Nantucket in America during my university years. So I'd have been about 23. And everybody in the dorms that worked there went absolutely bonkers for Austin Powers. Like, for us, we were away from home. So this little piece of Britain that was kind of, pseudo-British IP, being so big at the time, and obviously all the British people leaned into it that were working there, and we were all saying shag and groovy, and we'd all have like little watch parties in our rooms. Like, so we had a room that everyone sort of came to, gravitated towards, because I was sharing with an American dude who was just always drunk and was the life and soul of the party. And yeah, we just watched Austin Powers on loop, and what else was it? We were listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers and good times. So when I saw this, it's like, I've got to get that. And anyone who has seen any of the Austin Powers movies knows that Dr. Evil steals the show in pretty much every single one of them. Austin Powers himself, Mike Myers does a great job of giving life to Austin Powers. And Austin Powers is an IP that I think needs to live forever, because it really is amazing. But I don't know how it's going to work without him. Like, he just does such a great job. He was such a great comedian, and his films were great. And I'm a big fan of So I Married an Axe Murderer. I think that's a really great film. You should check that out too. But yeah, Dr. Evil, I mean, what can you say? He's just such a great character. And this is such a cool mold. I mean, the cat everything. And then you get the talking base. Now, this is really cool. I'd like to get one off the card because I've got no intention of opening this up. It just the packaging on it was just so cool. And it's not a line that I would want to collect, but it is cool. I mean, this Metal Gear, that would have been one that I would like to have gotten, but I didn't know about this. This was like in the lull pit. This came out in the lull period between me kind of collecting, from what I gather. So yeah, I wasn't collecting toys so much in the 1990s. I was busy trying to build a life before of sensible work, but it just never worked out that way. I do remember seeing Pumpkinhead in shops and things and thinking, who would want that? But yeah, how things have changed. But yes, Dr. Evil. Austin Powers figure, not really interested. It's Dr. Evil all the way. He's just the greatest character in the show. And his monologue about his dad inventing the question mark, I still laugh at that today. It's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, my final purchase of the day was one I have a great affinity for. I am a huge fan of the X-Men in the 90s. Not so much anymore. The comics, for those of you who don't know, I'm a comic book artist and writer myself, and I do not enjoy what has happened to the X-Men in the comics. Finally, Ricochet Rita, aka Spiral. Now, I didn't know a lot about Spiral when I was following the X-Men in the 1990s, but I was familiar with Longshot. And Longshot was a cool Gambit-style figure. And I believe that Longshot, the reason that Gambit exists is because the Longshot was, they wanted to use Longshot, but they couldn't. So they invented their own Longshot, and Gambit became a fan favorite. And so they never wanted to use Longshot. But then they did end up getting to use Longshot because they did their own version of the Mojoverse. Now, a Mojoverse seemed ludicrous back in the day, but it's actually quite analogous to the way society's gone now. You know, Mojo's a dictator in the sense that the ability to rule in that place is based on your ability to draw attention to your channel. Yeah, it sounds a bit weird. So I guess the equivalent of Mojo in this universe is Mr. Beast. Take from that what you will. Anyway, Mojo's second in command is somebody who ensures that his channel is always the top channels. He always has the best entertainment, and he's got to keep his star, Longshot, in line. And in order to do that, Mojo reached across the multiverse to grasp Ricochet Rita, who was a friend of Longshot's when he came to Earth, took her and turned her into Spiral. The story and the best part about it is the time dilation about it is so weird. So you should read the book Longshot by Art Adams. The artwork's fantastic. It just involves Longshot coming to this world for the first time and meeting loads of superheroes that he faces off against. He beats Spider-Man and he beats someone else. He's being chased by some alien. That Doctor Strange, that's it. He makes a fool of Doctor Strange because Longshot's got a luck-based power, so he doesn't have complete control over it. But there's a sad revelation about that power that comes out during this. And the Mojoverse was, on the surface, it just seemed silly. And all the characters seemed silly. They were all tainted by that silliness. But Spiral was one of those characters that kind of just sidestepped it all. And so she was just one of my favorites. And then when they put her in the game, the Capcom game, the fighting game, she was cool as hell. And her music on her level was brilliant. And the way that they envisioned the Mojoverse was just fantastic. Round one, fight! So seeing this figure at the show, I'd never seen it before anywhere else, and I thought, wow, the model's actually really cool. She's a really great character, and I've got a lot of love for Spiral. Mojo, not so much. I think he's a bit of a weird character, and he's ugly as hell. But there could be a good story told about him nowadays. But yeah, and then look at these. You get to that Wolverine. That's one I'd like. And this is Longshot, just so for those that you don't know. And look how cool she looks, all posed up like that. So yeah, she's a great figure, and all those weapons and stuff. I'd imagine it'd be quite hard to get her off the card with all of the things that she needs. So yeah, she is a cool piece. And that was the last purchase of the day, I believe. Just as I was going out the door, I kind of weighed it up. And I thought, yeah, I'll go for that. The sculpt was just so nice. The style of her, the way she's done. I mean, it would be great to get her out and pose her like that, because that's how I remember her in the comics. She's just such a cool figure. She was so great. And yeah. So that was my final purchase of the day. And then the rest of the week, I was just spent thinking about toys. It's like, wow, man. Wow, that was such a great thing. And I saw some really cool Batman Arkham stuff that I wanted. I missed out on getting a Rita Rocket. Is it not Rita Rocket? I've got Rita on the brain now. Roxy Rocket from the Batman Superman Adventures. That was a show that I watched while I was working in America religiously. It was absolutely fantastic. It was the amalgam of the Adventures of Superman and Batman put into an hour-long show with its own intro and everything. It was cool. And yeah, she was in that. So in the following week, after seeing all the Arkham stuff there and missing out on that, I decided to do a bit of shopping. And I thought, because I'm a big Arkham Batman fan, I think the Arkham series is my favourite Batman. And I collect anything I find about the Arkham City, Arkham Knight, not so much Arkham Origins, not so great. Their Joker was very good though, I will say that. But yeah, as a result of Sandown Toy Fair, I was inspired to get this set. When I picked this up, this was a really good buy on Amazon. It was on there for £20. Infected Batman. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, this one's you need to get scissors to get him out. So he'll probably never come out of there. And the packaging's quite nice. They're like bat-shaped ears on the molded plastic. So yeah, and while I was doing this video, something arrived through the post that is absolutely marvelous. Couldn't believe it. The Thunder Fighter from Buck Rogers in the 25th century. And I had this as a kid. This is a really nice one. I got this for £12. Yeah, it's really nice. It's in really good condition, and I absolutely love Buck Rogers. And it's something that really still great. The wings still work, so that is a cool thing. And that brings me on nicely to my little shameless plug. Buck Rogers in the 25th century was a series that was built to cash in on Star Wars. But it actually was quite entertaining in its own right, and it had some great things. And I have created a comic book series based on inspirational things like that. And that was one of the impetuses behind me creating Intrepid, was to kind of create something that's a little bit more like this. You know, a bit more fun, a bit more, you know, heroic. And like Buck Rogers in the 25th century, you know, the story is that Buck goes on a one-man mission, gets frozen, goes on a 500-year orbit and comes back to Earth 500 years later. And then they got spaceships like this, and there's alien factions all around the galaxy that are now trying to upset the people on Earth. And Buck comes back and helps the people of Earth adapt to these threats, and he brings back this like confidence and happiness that most of the human beings on that world haven't seen. So he's a throwback to a cool time in a culture when America was great, and he kind of brings back some of that joy. And I always like that aspect to the story. So this is what Intrepid's about. And also, to raise money to do the comic books, we sell in toys. And one of the things is, if you've got little girls, this is the one for you. So yeah, we sell these on the website. Please go and check out Narrowbox Toy Superstore. And you can pick up some cool stuff like those, like this. And there may be even one of these on the cards at some point. I'm just looking into getting my suppliers all set up for the Narrowbox Superstore. But yeah, so great. That's my little shameless plug for what we're doing at Narrowbox and what I'm doing personally. And I hope that you will support this channel. I can share some of my cool collector's sets that I've got there, and I will do a video about my Arkham stuff, because I just want to show it off. I just want to share it with someone because it's so cool. It sits in my office and I look at it every day and I think, wow, I should share that. I should show people how cool it is. Well, anyway, thanks a lot for listening, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.